On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing Moody's 10-year home price forecasts, an 8-month softening in single-family permit activity, and the mortgage application data for the past week. Today is Thursday, October 16, 2025. I'm Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Live from Connecticut. Happy to be with you. It's a pleasure to be with you. Let me know in the live chat where you're tuning in from, wherever you may be. We're closing out this week of the Hot Sheet. It's the only live housing show for real estate professionals, Monday through Thursday when markets are open. And boy, are the markets open as we get into the third week of the government shutdown. There's a lot of attention on what the market reaction is going to be. We had some Fed conversation yesterday that we talked about and worked through on the QT, the quantitative tightening that is coming to a halt, or the indication from the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, that will be the case. And you know what? Markets have not been reacting negatively to any of, we've just gotten so accustomed to uncertainty. I think one thing the market certainly is pricing in, it appears, is that we are going to see lower rates in, the end of this year and going into next year. Now we're leading up to a Fed meeting here in a couple of weeks. And in that Fed meeting, the expectation is that we'll have another cut. And what do you know? We've got the QT announcement, and we've got, or the end of QT, and we've got the Fed meeting coming up, and we've got this new momentum, just like we had going into the last meeting. And you're seeing the 10-year move down. You're seeing the 30-year fixed follow. We'll continue to monitor that, what it all means. And hopefully we get that momentum to live past the meeting and live past Jerome Powell's next upcoming statements. In the meantime, we've got a report from Moody's. Okay. Moody's is analytics, and their chief economist, Mark Zandi, super active in the real estate industry and real estate analytics, just reported on some new data. They're projecting home prices, how high they'll go up over the next 10 years. Okay. Interesting analysis to project out that far. We know Hot Sheet fans and certainly BAMX members know one of my favorite charts. Okay. If you go into school for BAMX members, you drop into school and you drop into the Hot Sheet classroom. One of my favorite charts and most popular charts. I have it right here at the top. Most popular charts, growth by decade. Second one in is this chart right here. Okay. It shows that no matter what decade you're in, even one with a mortgage crisis, and they made a movie about that crisis, multiple documentaries, even in that decade, home prices go up 40+%, 47.3%, 47.1% in this decade, 44.7% in the 10s, and then 30+% in the 90s when you had the .com bubble in the late 90s, right? And so no matter what, on a 10-year run, home prices move up. And so to see Moody's making a projection here that's 10 years out, it's interesting because really, to me, there's only one place, real estate can go. You're gonna have a lot of doomers try to convince you that, oh my gosh, over the next 10 years, prices are going to crash. Boomers are going to be transferring all this wealth, and there's going to be nobody to take all of these homes. And all of these scenarios, it's gotten so unaffordable, and we're going to go into some deep recession.
And it's usually people in their car talking to their phone.
A lot of people in their car or other places talking into their phone about all of these doomish scenarios that are going to hit the real estate market. And we know history is a great indicator of what's coming, and what's coming is an increase in home prices, to be certain. Okay, so in this report, they have a forecast for annual home prices. I threw it into the Hot Sheet notes. You can grab this obviously in school. 2026, very much a similar year to this year as it relates to annual home prices. Okay, kind of moving sideways, flat, 0.48%. Factor in inflation, that's really net. That's really kind of a negative home price growth, but no loss in real home prices in 2026. 0.4% up. 27, 1.3% up. 28, 2.4% up. Remember, the beautiful thing about real estate is these are compounding numbers.
And they're so exact too. Like,
oh yeah. By the way,
0.18 exactly.
Bobby, none of these numbers will be accurate, but it's interesting to look at the projection and how they're thinking about slow growth in real estate. 2.78% in 29, almost 3% in 30, 2.7 in 31, 32, 2.44%, 33, 2.18, 34, 35, basically 2%. Okay. Well, what does that come out to over time? Over the next 10 years, 25 to 35, prices will rise 23.5%, according to this Moody's long-term outlook. Okay. So when you look at those decade totals that I just showed you, this would be the lowest number. Obviously, you don't do a decade from 25 to 35. And we've already gained 45+% in this decade alone. We're only halfway through it. So to consider where, these next 5 years are going to be very slow, that's probably right. Like, we overheated when we printed all of that money. We overheated when we made, interest rates that were near zero. Over the next 12 to 24 months, Zandy expects nominal national home prices basically to move sideways. There's going to be some local variation in this analysis, according to Moody's. South and West, modest price declines. Northeast, Midwest, where you have less inventory, greater stability due to that tighter inventory situation. Okay. Just jumping back into school for the BAMX members. You can grab all the resources that we have on the hot sheet each and every single day in school for BAMX members. That's school.com/BAMX. This chart right here, I mean, if you've been on the hot sheet, this is one of my favorite charts, this kind of line graph that shows what do real estate prices do. They go up and to the right, bud. When you've got a buyer who's getting a whole bunch of news and information from different sources, friends, family, wait for the crash. We're not dealing with a mortgage crisis. And so outside of that, in the last, 30 plus years, where's the crash? There isn't one. And Moody's just extends the line. Pretty easy prediction to write. Okay. You look at the last 30 years. What does the line do? It moves up and to the right on home prices. And so, if I were to say to my, to my 5-year-old, hey, where do you think this line goes to fill out the rest of the page? She could have figured this one out. Okay. She could have made the same dot plot as Moody's. It makes a lot of sense. This is where home prices are going. Okay.
Remind me of the economist's salary again, that these people get paid to do this.
I don't know if Zandy's getting what Lawrence gets at NAR, but if you can get Lawrence Yoon's job and basically, make a statement once a month, you're doing really well. Here's the annual forecast as it looks over the next 10 years. We know often there's a lot more volatility and dramatic changes, as you can see in the past, than kind of just moving, up incrementally. When you take these, the decline in the averages, you get somewhere around a historical nominal average of 4 to 5%, right? And so this is just under that. And if really you don't have anything dramatic happen over the next 10 years, hard to believe, this is what it could look like. This is the projection out going from here, where we're essentially at a flattening point, right? You could go back to the 90s here and look at where we kind of got back to, a 0% real estate growth trend line. And we did for a few years, kind of just more than a few years, almost a decade, right? Kind of just bounce around where, 2 to 3%. And that's kind of what we're projected out for the next 10 years. Then obviously we saw the real estate boom, which was which was really exacerbated by the mortgage crisis. We had to recorrect global economic situation and mortgage crisis, and then the recovery, and then obviously here the COVID money printing years, and we have now since paid for that with this decline, or not necessarily paid for it, but things have to normal back out, and that's where we see this decline back here to the zero. Moody's projecting over the next 10 years that we will be in some slow growth years. More on the 10-year forecasted per region. You can see here that some of the slowest growth on home price shift would be Southeast Florida. They're projecting more home price shifting in Southwest Florida to the upside, the Northeast to the upside. Mid-Atlantic has softer growth projected. This is kind of over a 10-year period. Western Carolinas, Tennessee. Other than that, they've got a lot of blue, which is showing you larger increases. That yellow is the lower increase regionally as Moody sees it over the next 10 years. Interesting to see how they're thinking about that. All right. There's projections out for the next 10 years that probably won't come true, but something to consider. NAHB's got their eye on what's happening in the now. Okay. NAHB stating that builders are cautious right now. And the reason for that is single family permits are weakening. So the reason that they're making this statement is the data point on residential single family permits. Okay, here they are. Here's the 12-month change as of August of this year. Single family permits are down in the US 7.1%. The only region where you're seeing those are up is the Midwest, up 1%. The Northeast, where you have even a deeper shortage in inventory than the Midwest, it's only down 4.4%. There's more opportunity there. But the difference between the Northeast and the Midwest is it's much more expensive to pull anything off in terms of building. Okay, so the South and the West, where you have more inventory, you see that permits have reduced at a larger scale, 7.5% in the South and an 11.5% in the West. That's where they're pulling back and protecting the most, is in the areas where you have the most inventory. Okay, multifamily sector, the Midwest, you've got more of an affordable region. It's more affordable to build. You have 17.2% increase on multifamily. So the opportunity for builders is in the multifamily sector in the Midwest. There's a 1.4% increase overall in the U.S., 1.9% in the South. West is up 9.1%. Northeast is down 23.5% on multifamily. You have a migration pattern that continues to exit out of the Northeast, although that migration pattern has slowed in recent memory. The mayor of New York City may try to exacerbate that again. We'll see if that migration pattern ticks up after November. But the big deal is, it's very costly to Bobby, what are you laughing at? You caught that one?
Just the thought of the next New York City mayor. Yeah.
We're sitting pretty close to New York City, and we'll see what happens over there.
I don't go to the city now as it is.
Connecticut could really benefit from Mayor Zandy. Go ahead, Mayor. Get in there. We'll take some migration east to Connecticut, and certainly you'll get it to the south. But here's the other problem. It's not just migration moving out of the Northeast and why they're pulling back on permits on multifamily builders being, it's the cost to construct and the cost of obviously getting the money, the leverage to go out and build, all very, very high when it comes down to the Northeast. So 23.5% permits on multifamily down. It's the only region that's down. All other regions are up on multifamily. The U.S. is up 1.4% on multifamily construction. That number would be a lot higher if it was not for the Northeast and the issues that the Northeast has around building anything, quite frankly. The percent change in single family permits All right, so this is year over year. You see the 11.5% decline in Florida, 8% decline in Texas, 7% decline in California. Builders protecting themselves in those higher inventory areas. Look at Arizona down 19%, Nevada down 23%. Builders pulling back where there's high inventory. And really, you don't see much that's up. There's there's a few states here that are up, but not many. Most states are pulling back. Most areas are down as it relates to single family permits year over year. So over the last 12 months, builders taking a much safer road. And multifamily, obviously, you see quite the opposite here in a lot of regions, 20% up in Florida, 86.9% up in Louisiana. Okay. That just incredible numbers there. And so, some of these smaller states, to my friends in Maine, sorry for taking a shot at you.
Oh, the Maniacs were incensed.
The Maniacs earlier in the week. Beautiful place in the summer. 62% up in Maine, but that's probably, just to be fair, that's probably coming off of a really low number. So, a couple projects in Maine might might get you to 50%, 10% uptick in California. Remember, when 42% down in New York, kind of highlighting those Northeast issues there. Remember, you want to really, I know people always say, well, it's not all about the coasts in the US, but we look at who's driving GDP. It's the New Yorks, it's the Californias, and you got the Florida and Texas is following behind that.
South Dakota net negative too over there. I think
but again, South Dakota, I mean, what are we talking? We're talking about like a handful
Arkansas
of projects
as well. Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Like a weekend in Florida might be the year for South Dakota on multifamily construction. Let's just get real. You really want to pay attention to the New Yorks and the Californias and the Floridas and the Texases. Those states in particular can really swing momentum nationally in one direction or the other. We looked earlier in the week at the states that are in expansion, the states that are in a decline, that are in a recession, and then the states that are hanging on, and New York, California being in that category of hanging on. You don't want those states going into a recessionary category. It can have an effect on the rest of the country and pull the rest of the country down with it. Top 10 largest single family markets by permits are even though almost all of these are down year to date compared to August 24. These remain the 10 largest single-family markets by permit. Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Charlotte, Austin continuing to build, continuing to be a leader in affordability is Austin, Texas, Orlando, Tampa, Nashville, and LA. There's your top 10 largest single-family markets by permits. If we go to multifamily permitting, New York is at the top. Dallas, Miami, Houston, Orlando, LA, Phoenix, Columbus, Atlanta, and Tampa. The year-to-date change in New York, despite being at the top, is down 34%. There is your NAHB, National Association of Home Builders. Eye on what's happening with permits. Builders remain cautious. They have to pull back with the uncertainty that is circling them, and and certainly the rates. Rates improve. Builders get a little bit more bullish, take a little bit more risk. All right. Fortunately for our associations, I guess, like National Association of Home Builders and the Mortgage Bankers Association, because we have data on purchase applications. We don't have to wait for the government shutdown to be over to get relevant data. Okay. The private sector can actually produce a whole bunch of this. Mortgage Banker Association, which does happen to be headquartered in DC, reports mortgage applications decreased 1.8% from the week earlier. Okay. This is for the week ending October 10th. We are in a seasonal decline that is to be expected. Okay. We want to look at not only this headline number, but what's happening here on a year-over-year basis. So let's first just look at what we care about. That headline number includes refinances. Let's break this down. Let's look at the purchase index on on this 30-year fixed mortgage. Okay, so purchase index, which is the purchase applications, okay, versus the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. We have this, you can kind of see where we're at right now. The mortgage rate goes high, the purchase index goes to one of the lowest levels we've seen in the last 10 years. If I max this thing out, okay, where they have data going back to the 90s, we are at levels we haven't seen since the great financial recovery and since the 90s. And we got a whole heck of a lot more people living here than we did when we were all watching MTV in the 90s. That's just the facts of the situation. Okay. If we just look at some of the basic week over week numbers here, the change week over week on purchase moved to the negative 1.22%. Refinances came down 7.7%. Year over year, we continue to see double-digit growth in both categories. The purchase applications year over year have moved up 14+%, while refinances have moved up 18+%. So the streak continues, double-digit growth year over year. We're starting to bounce off of the bottom, and that is your weekly mortgage application update. We may see a little bit of a bump up here. I would expect just the seasonality to kind of continue to put downward pressure on these numbers, but we are getting real momentum once again here as we build up now less than a couple weeks out from the next Fed's decision, just under 2 weeks. And yesterday we came with the 10-year moved down to 6.27 on the 30-year fix. So starting to close in on a true 6.25 and get a little bit closer to our year-to-date low of 6.13. It is in sights here once again. 10-year Treasury here today as we start this Thursday, coming in at 4.044. Remember, this is the 30-day low, and this is basically near the last 90-day low as well. So 10-year in a comfortable spot as long as the spread continues to improve. This will continue to create momentum on the 30-year fixed. And Fed has Fed Watch from CME Group has all but guaranteed now at this point 96% chance that we will see that cut happening in the next meeting in a couple of weeks. This is now 13 days away for the next meeting. All right. CPI, just an update on when we're going to get our next inflation report. Was supposed to be this week. CPI inflation report is now going to be released by the Labor Department. They're being called back in during this government shutdown to perform this index. The department had originally paused work on the CPI due to this shutdown. Here's just an update on when we're going to get it. We'll have it on October 24th. Okay. So that's in about 9 days. It was scheduled to come out here this week. And this will also be for, I think, 5 days before that next Fed meeting. So the Fed will get this BLS. You could take the L out and just call it a BS report, but it is what they go by, the CPI report, this outdated lagging data that the Fed refuses to look at current private data. They want to look at this outdated CPI report. They're waiting for it. They're waiting patiently for it. And this will be the last inflation report that they get before they meet. Okay. One of the reasons is not so that the Fed can use this data to make their decision, but I think the real driving reason is the Social Security Administration uses this third quarter CPI data for calculating and publishing annual cost of living adjustments. And they need that before November 1. Okay. For Social Security. So this is the data that they use to calculate these cost of living adjustments. And so they're being called back to work. They're going to promptly resume this important work for the people here immediately so that we have that report. We'll cover that, of course. Looking forward to doing that. Probably see some crazy owner equivalent numbers. What you won't see is any crazy data or numbers or crazy things in BAMX. It's the number one agent community to close more deals, build your brand, generate leads, and ultimately close more transactions. NAR thinks it's their place to provide relevant and valid information, but they've had decades to do that and haven't done it. That's why BAMX has picked up and built the #1 agent community to do such, close more deals, connect with more agents. A full classroom where we deliver content directly to you every single Friday that you can customize, hyper local content, relevant, up to the minute content. The team that creates all of the BAM content, which is, obviously the most organically followed content in our space. That same team is building out your content so that you can use in your market, from video scripts and email scripts to those social media posts right at your fingertips each and every single Friday in the New This Week tab, as well as the Hot Sheet tab. All of our knowledge banks, like Sharon Srivatsa's knowledge bank, as well as our other courses, and of course, Zudilio's free cash offer platform. This is a $2,400 value that you just get free. You get free access to it as a BAMX member. We've opened up the BAMX opportunity to try this for the next 7 days. You get access to everything, including all of our live role play masterminds and all of our Wednesday afternoon office hours as well. When we host those, you get access to all of it. Try it for 7 days. Go to school.com/BAMX. Looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys in BAMX. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you guys with me in Denver next week. Bobby, you all packed? You ready to go?
All getting ready. Yeah. It's cold in Denver now.
Yeah, it's about the same temperature it is here, Bobby. I mean, it's
freezing outside here in Connecticut.
I wouldn't call it freezing, but it is. It is the leaves are changing. The temperature is changing. And if your business is going to change next year, get into a room of high-level operators. I'll be speaking at the Fusion Rally, October 24th, Denver, Colorado, delivering a keynote there. Really looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of you guys there. If you're in driving distance, no brainer. Go to the link down below. Use BZ25 to grab your ticket on the Fusion Rally event. Looking forward to connecting with you guys there. All right, there's your hot sheet. Walk through later on the main channel. Here on the main channel.
We can only hope. Haley's out, so I guess I'll have to do it.
Bobby's doing it all this week. He's reminding me of it every single moment of how hard he's working. Haley, come back.
Yeah,
please.
Spam in the comments. No more vacation, Haley.
Haley, come back. We all need you. The last thing I can hear from Bobby again is reminding me how hard he's grinding it out. Nobody grinds it harder than Bobby in the video space. So walk through later today. Tomorrow we've got a Knowledge Brokers podcast separate channel. That's your update, and let's get on with it. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, toodaloo.